reporting for Skubal, Tigers, $19 million. Skubal, $32 million. And here's how arbitration works. If you actually go to a case, they find the midpoint, and this is Mark Feinsand explaining it very well, MLB Insider. He said it's the biggest ever spread in arbitration. Keep in mind, the number will matter in a hearing. It's not 19 or 32 until the winner or loser is decided. It's 25.5 million. That's the midpoint. Each side has to prove Skubal is worth $1 above or $1 below that number. So, AJ, if the court of baseball decides that an arbitration panel decides that Skubal is worth $25.5 million plus 1 penny or dollar, whatever, then he will get $32 million. If they think he's worth less than that number, then he will get 19. So what do you think of this big battle we're about to enter?
I think both teams are surprised by where the other one filed, meaning Skubal's team and the Tigers, because I think the record for arbitration is 19.75, David Price, with, I believe, the Tigers. So
for a pitcher.
For a pitcher. So the Tigers are probably thinking, well, we went to 19. How much higher can he be? Oh, 32. He is the back-to-back Cy Young Award winner. I hope he wins just because I want the players to get all the money. Listen, as somebody that went through this arbitration process, it sucks as a player because you just sit there across. He's going to sit across from Scott Harris and a couple other front office people that he knows well, and they're going to say how bad Tarik Skubal is at this and how bad Tarik Skubal is at that. And you walk out of there and you're like, I hate this team because they just blast you. Now, if you can go in there with an open mind and just say they're just doing their job, it's hard, though. And I don't know how he's going to be a free agent after this. Because after you go through this, unless they offer you just a massive contract, which they haven't been willing to do, he's going to walk away from this with a bad taste in his mouth. And if I was the Tigers, I'd just be like, how about we give you $25 million right now?
No.
Would he say no? You think
no.
He would? You think
he made me get to this point. I think he's going to be pretty tough with them because I'd be pissed. I won back-to-back Cy Young Awards, and I know Todd Father has experience with this. Before you go, Todd, I just want to point out, David Price holds that record, $19.75 million. That record's from 2015. 2015, the Tigers filed less than what David Price got a decade plus ago. Cyrus pointed out on Twitter that $19.75 million, just based on inflation alone, is now worth $27 million. And Skubal had a better season than Price, and it's back-to-back Cy Young Awards. So if I'm making that case, I'm feeling really strongly right now that they're going to tip the scales towards me being worth a little more than 25. And if that's the case, I might as well just sit pretty, state my case, and get $32 million and really change the sport. Starting pitchers are underpaid in arbitration.
Yeah, and to go back to all your points here, it's funny. David Price, it was 11 years ago, 19.75. He didn't even win a Cy Young, and he got 19.75. I think this case right here, I think Skubal has it, in my opinion, I think he has it in the bag, if you want the truth. I think the team is going to go back and look at Jacob deGrom's. I was looking all this up. He had 1 Cy Young, and he got $17 million. But this is his second one. Skubal's second in a row. So where do you put that price range? I put it up there. I think the price is just where it needs to be. And, you look back on some of these things. Again, we talk about Price. He didn't have a Cy Young Award. It was at 1975. So where does 2 Cy Young Awards make him? I honestly think it's in the bag. I think Skubal made the right choice by going a little bit higher. And I think if you look at the value at 25, whatever it was, if it's $1 over, $1 less, I think it's an easy win for him. I don't know how he can lose this one, knowing that he's pretty much the undisputed best pitcher in baseball. He's got 2 Cy Young awards, and if we're going back to each of these things, I think he has this one in the bag. Scott, AJ.
Yeah, and also Todd Father, by the way, give me a little tilt this way, right here, baby. Me. Yeah, we got you on the single.
Wrong camera.
Well, because usually you got your boy sitting next to you, but I took the day off.
Something that helps him, by the way, Skubal, is because he's in his 6th year, which is he's 5+, he can use other pitchers' contracts as a comp. He can use Zach Wheeler at 42. He can use Jacob deGrom at $37 million, right? So he's saying, man, if those guys are worth that, I have 2 Cy Youngs under my belt the last 2 years. Pay me, And listen, as somebody that went through this again, and at the time, now this was 2004, I set a record for the highest 3+ catcher, first time arbitration catcher at the time. It wasn't very much, but it wasn't 30 whatever million he wants. Trust me. But the union wants these wins. The Player Association wants these wins, and the owners don't want them to win. So both sides are going to throw everything they have. They had me go last in arbitration in 2004 because I was trying to set a record for catchers, and I won. So the union, obviously, the PA was excited. The owners, and I was on the Giants at the time, they weren't very happy, right? So, but both sides threw everything they had at it because the owners want to keep the salaries down. The PA wants the salaries to go up, and arbitration is one way for them to try to regulate this. So both sides are going to go hard at this, and it's going to be fascinating. I hope he gets it. I hope he wins because it'll only help players in the future.
And to finish a point too, look at Cease. He just got $30 million in free agency after being hurt. So like, you got to take all this into accountability. There's so much leaning towards Skubal being that guy to make this money. If he does lose, I don't know how, just because of all the cases of what he has right now. I mean, if you go back and look at everything, but again, I'm not an arbiter. I'm not in the court. I'm not there. I don't know what else they can go by besides Jacob deGrom, 17 million after one Cy Young. To me, I feel like I know 32 and 19 is a huge difference, but I think he's worked every point of that $32 million.
Yeah, and also just for clarification, I don't think Cease has been durable. He's been okay, but you're saying, I mean, Cease obviously isn't Skubal. There's a big difference between those
that's
two
what I'm
when you're
saying.
doing a
These
comp.
guys are getting paid, and he deserves more than what these guys are getting. A lot more.
To me, this is a fundamental issue in the sport right now, among many. But why 11 years later is the number the same? Like, in what world? Well, I don't know what it was, but the revenue numbers back then, probably not as shiny. Probably half that, maybe a little bit more. Yeah. So we talked about inflation, the whole deal. It'll be a great battle.
If you're the Tigers, though, why don't you go and say, we'll give you 27, 28, 30 right now? Hey, we'll go over the midpoint right now and get this done so you don't have to go sit in that room. If you have any chance of re-signing them.
Are they allowed to talk right now?
Okay. Yeah, you're allowed to. You can sign up to the minute. You can sign up to the minute that the trial starts. And for those people that have never heard of what happens at arbitration, you walk in, there's these long table. It's shaped like a T. It's shaped like this. There's 3 arbitrators sitting at this end, the Players Association and the player on this side, and on the other side are the GMs and the owners people. And you sit there, and as a player, you sit right at the T right here. And right across from you is the GM or the assistant GM, whoever's running the case, and you just stare at them. And the union says, do not make any emotions, no matter what kind of what kind of bullshit they tell. And when my case, they told some serious bullshit. And there was a couple of times where my agent had to kick me under the table because I wanted to laugh at some of the stuff. They pull out stuff that you just don't even think is even relevant. It's not relevant, but they just pull it out.
And the arbitration panel is not that smart on baseball, or often is not that smart on baseball. And I guess that's for them kind of the point. I don't know, right? Like, you're just independent. You're supposed to come in there and just be like, present me what you've got. There's some teams, and I don't remember what the list is. There are some teams that have a file and trial, meaning yesterday is the deadline. You either figure it out or we file our numbers. But most teams nowadays can still settle between the time period yesterday of the deadline and then the arbitration cases, which for the most part occur in February. So, AJ, my response as fake Skubal representation today is hell no on your 25 mil. But yeah, if you want to start talking 26, 27, 28, we can start having a conversation, right? Because think about it. He would significantly raise the tide for arbitration at that point, and you would take the risk away of losing a case. Also, human beings are on this case, and AJ, we've joked about this in the past. It's 3 guys on an arbitration panel, and if it shifts one way or another too much, one side fires the other. So this is going to be the most controversial case ever if we get to that point, and I just have a feeling that the arbitration panel will be more worried about MLB than the PA. So if I'm Skubal, you don't think so?
No, because it also depends on this. Okay, so if you notice in arbitration, by the way, they're chasing somebody in Chicago, if you can hear the sirens. But the arbitration cases are usually pretty even. Like it's win, loss, win, loss. I know the owners have won more than they've lost over the course of the history, but every year it's kind of like almost 50-50 with the owners winning like 13-11 or 12-10 or 9-7, whatever the numbers are. And every once in a while the players will sneak in one. But let's say it's 8-8 going down to Skubal, and it could sway one way or the other. And again, these are all made up numbers, but man, because I don't know who they're hired by, if they're duly hired by the Players Association and the
Yes,
owners, but man, can you imagine being like, oh, I want my job again? Who do I vote for?
But here's the thing, all of the other cases combined basically equal the separation in this. Like most of the other cases, Todd Father, there's one case that's a $75,000 separation. You hope that one gets settled. And then all the way up to, I think the highest separation besides Skubal this year is like $1.5 million. So if you think about it, I mean, this is the case. This is like the case of the century for arbitration if we actually go.
This is what, people say, this guy won, this guy lost. They don't remember everything that happens during the game. You don't, but there's this one moment that you remember, this is what tilted everything. Well, this is the moment. This is the moment right here in arbitration. If Skubal happens to win, it'll be an absolute monster win for players. If he happens to lose, okay, just another loss in the book. This MLB has all to lose here, in my opinion, and nothing to gain if you want the truth.
Yeah, and that's why if you're Skubal,
Well,
I do think he's going to get
the thing they gain,
27
Todd,
and stop.
But the thing they gain, Todd, is if they win, they hold salaries down, right? That's kind of their job.
Yeah.
That's what they have to win, right?
The Tigers lose.
But the Tigers lose if they goes to case no matter what, whether they win or lose. Because if he loses Skubal's going to be pissed. And if he wins, he's still going to be pissed because he's going to be happy that he got the money, but that he had to go through it. But the owners win, Todd. The way the owners win is if they win, they hold salaries down because the next guy, whoever that next person is, goes, Skubal won 2 Cy Youngs. Paul Skeens would be the next guy, right? If he doesn't sign a long-term deal at some point by the Pirates. I'm sorry. Wow, I'm sorry. I made myself laugh and choke right there when I said the long-term deal from the Pirates with Paul Skeens. But when he gets to arbitration in a couple of years, okay? He has a rookie of the year, a Cy Young. Skubal got 32. My first year arbitration, he's going to be looking at 10 to 12 maybe. And then by the time he gets to his third year arbitration, he could be in the 40s maybe. So, this is what the owners, this is why arbitration is such a tricky process. Teams hate going through it. That's why they do the file and trial, because most players get scared at the end and say, oh, take whatever you want, right? But you know what? You deserve it, Tarik. You've been through it. You've been hurt. Now you're the best pitcher in the planet. You've won 2 Cy Youngs in a row. You've carried this team to the postseason for 2 years in a row. Go get that glue, bro.
And I know you guys will love this. MLB has been trying to get rid of the arbitration system and essentially, as far as I know, replace it with just a pure numbers-based system where they calculate a number and then say, this is what you're worth. And that is not advantageous to players. And that's why they want to keep the case thing going, right? You're going to sum everyone up by a number. For those that think there's way too many numbers involved already, that would take it to another level. So I don't think that's going to happen, but it makes things very interesting. I do also want to show the Rangers tweet, because you have the Tigers in a battle with Tarik Skubal, and it could get ugly, and fans are already pissed that they haven't signed him long-term. How about this tweet from Rangers Nation? The Rangers streak of avoiding salary arbitration has reached 26 consecutive years as the club finalized their agreements. They entered the offseason with 9 ARB-eligible players. In addition to those 4, they reached a deal with, they listed some other dues. But anyway, the fact that they have not gone to an arbitration hearing since 2000, Lee Stevens, that's crazy. A 26-year streak. It's the longest in MLB history, surpassing Detroit's active streak by 1 year. And Detroit's active streak is on the line with Mr. Skubal.